Ah!
Uh-oh, they're here.
What's there, Jack?
Big
Where are the
Chungus.
primos?
The Legion. The Legion is
Secretly,
there.
the Legion members take off their masks. Turns out to be a bunch of big Chunguses.
No, that's not you. But you did bring Scorched over here to my camp.
Oh, I'm not even there yet. Oh, Neptune.
Stop saying, oh, Neptune.
Why? You got a problem with me?
Each time someone spawns here, it makes a whole batch.
Oh, great.
I see you spear one today.
That's good if you don't have XP, but I'm fine.
Or there's no point in saying, oh, Neptune.
I'm gonna say it anyway.
Why not just say,
You can't tell me what to do. Hey Jack, it's me, Orin, from the U.S. military here to give you some military relief. I'm gonna build some things here that's gonna really improve your lifestyle.
No, please.
do you ever just tell Aaron that there's alcohol involved in something so he doesn't come?
Yeah, I've thought about doing that.
Lots of pieces of alcohol.
It's
One time they went to a place that sold margaritas, but nobody buys them there because, like, there's like a special bar seating place, and his parents wouldn't let him eat there.
One time we went to the casino, and the only dinner place was at the bottom floor of the casino, and they wouldn't let us walk through the casino because me, Thomas, and Mallory were underage. So we had to sit up at this cupcake place without mom or dad while mom or dad went because they didn't believe that my dad was an adult, even though he had wrinkles on his face.
Hey Jack, you gotta. Oh, wait, I can make this.
Oh crap.
I'm sorry, I can't do that voice.
Come on to Outback Steakhouse. Maybe.
Yeah, on Outback Steakhouse. Goodbye.
Maybe Big Chungus is Australian.
Jack, I need 1 aluminum and 2 circuitry, please.
Thanks.
Please, I'll be your best friend if you do this for me.
I don't have that.
What if Big Chungus is Australian?
I have the aluminum. Yeah.
I need 1 aluminum, please.
I can get you 1 aluminum, but that's about as far as it goes.
Guys, I just saw Big Chungus on the Dead by Daylight map.
Here you go.
Oh no, Big Chungus. You know where I would get some circuit? I don't need cloth, Jack. Again,
you took the pre-war money. I dropped that like 3 days ago, but it just keeps in your drop stuff.
Why is there so much of it? Why?
Because I have like 100 cloth.
Okay, where would I find circuitry?
In phones.
Where would I find some phones? Flatwoods, obviously. Flatwoods has stuff in the circuitry from, I'm pretty sure. Big Chungus.
I couldn't build a fence because this tank rigs it. Why did you build another cooking station?
I didn't know you had one. They're military relief items, Jack. Okay, the military just randomly gives you crap sometimes, and you just say, "Thank you, military official. Thank you, honorable chairman." If you thought Big Chungus was bad, you should have saw this guy we saw on Fallout just a few minutes ago. Me and Jack.
Yeah, he looks like someone took a pole and smacked him. I don't know what, but he looked pretty messed up.
Nice. Sounds like me every Saturday night.
Oh, that sounds
Just
right.
another Saturday night. I ain't got nobody. Got some money, got right. I'm gonna pull the camera out of this tap. What did I just grab? What did I just grab?
You know that gut feeling you get when your nerves think that something's going wrong?
Yeah, I know that feeling. I've had that happen a few times.
That happens to be happening to me, and I'm kind of nervous that Big Chungus is in my house somewhere, and that's why it's happening.
Big Tungus.
Big Chungus, I said.
Oh, you said Big Tungus. That's gonna be the new thing, Big Tungus.
And looking at the spirit only makes it worse because she stares at me and she's like the ugliest thing ever.
Oh no, the Legion looks pretty stupid.
From one angle, the spirit looks like a 13-year-old kid, and then from another angle, she looks like my grandma.
Well, that's how Asian people are. You look like you're so young when you're like 70, 80, then you turn 90, you look like a 57-year-old.
She's Japanese, not Asian.
Same thing. They come from the land of Asia. They come from the land of Asia. They're Asian.
No, Oren, that's Koreans.
Asians and Japanese were the same thing.
I know. I know. I just don't care.
And
Oh, hey.
Japanese actually fought Chinese in World War II, but you didn't know.
Hey, guess what? I got a $100 gift card for Amazon from one of my grandparents for Christmas. And I spent $35 buying all 3 Scarlet Witch miniseries comic counterparts. And I'm proud of myself because
Those are trash, Kate. They're not as good as some of the others.
I still have more money on it that I can spend. But there's a kid at my school named Connor Moss who's selling comics, and he has the first edition of Aquaman. He's selling it for $300. And
Is your place Diamond City? Is y'all school Diamond City? Like, honest. I'm sorry, but there's a kid who's selling comics at our school, and like the most expensive one's like $35. I lied.
He's selling one of the X Factor comics, which is like Polaris and Quicksilver and Gambit on their own X-Men team for $50, and I actually considered buying it until I realized how stupid it was.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid.
But I am the queen of terrible purchases. As you can tell, I ended up with the Legion somehow.
Yeah, that's
Scout Sloth 3, 4, and 5.
But then I also have the Ratchet and Clank PS4 game.
Oh no.
In this Scout's Loft, it says 100% longer bleed out time. I'm sorry, but isn't that a bad thing?
No, whenever you're down on the ground and you're trying to get revived, it takes longer for you to die. So that's a good thing.
Okay, this one increases carry weight.
You guys know that clear Gatorade? You know what that clear blue Gatorade? Like
Gatorade.
like Ice Glacier. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I got that, but it turns out I got Cherry Glacier, and I've been drinking the nastiest one for the past hour. It's pretty.
Sounds like some sort of torture device. That's nasty.
A torture device is playing the Legion, and you can never tell if it's a female or a male.
It has curves in places that normal males don't, but then it has curves in places females don't. It's confusing.
No, but
You were named Pat.
no. The only two that have names are Frank and Julie. The other ones are unnamed scoundrels.
No. The doctor's name's Doctor. The boy's name's Hillbilly.
I know what their names are, Jack. The doctor is Herman. The hillbilly is Max Jr. The cannibal is Bubba.
What? Oh, what? What? Okay.
Do you hear that noise that Big Chungus is making through somebody's earpiece?
I have a chainsaw. My name's Herman.
The wrong killer.
My name's Cletus.
One time I was playing Mafia and a guy wanted to because of his name.
What was his name?
I don't remember. It was something Ford, and he said, "Yeah, I don't know who that guy is, but his name means he's something bad. Just go kill him." And I got some points and crap for it too.
You guys remember that time we were at Badham Preschool and Oren and Jack led me into the school? You two did, and the nurse was in there and she glitched down the hallway and you two started screaming.
I thought you actually meant preschool. I thought you meant actual preschool was in there.
Wait,
Hold
what are
on.
you talking about?
On Dead by Daylight, we were in the hallway at the preschool.
Figure this out. We knew one then, Dave.
I don't think I knew hardly anybody back then. But you go all over
Wally.
Wally wasn't born when I was in preschool. Or
No.
actually he was. But he was super
Oh,
young.
never mind. I take that back.
Jack, you little liar, you knew me and Thomas up until the day you were born.
Yeah. Before I even was created, I knew Thomas was Kate.
Yeah.
This Jack is a sperm cell. Hey, that's Jack. There's Thomas and Kate.
Hey, Thomas.
You know what would be awful? More than one killer in Dead by Daylight. When you're playing as the killer, you just turn your head and there's a clown staring at you.
Oh, I escaped. Dun, 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 dun. Oh no, why is the music still playing?
Do you want me to tell you what all the killers are named?
Sure.
Okay, the Legion is Frank and Julie and the other gang members. The Spirit is Ren. The Pig is Amanda. Michael Myers is Michael Myers. Freddy Krueger is Freddy Krueger.
Really? I thought Freddy Krueger was Pat.
It'd be terrible if your initials were M&M. Or SS.
SSR.
Sammy Stevenson, you must be a Nazi.
SSR.
I
Sammy Stevenson, Rebecca. Sorry.
Your last name is wrong. You're just like Vito. You have to be messed up to have a name like that. You're on my wanted list. But wait a minute, bro. I didn't do nothing. I hadn't even been exploring once tonight.
I want to name one of my kids Joseph, the other one Ma Lynn, and the other one Adolf, and then I want to put them up for adoption and never enter their life again.
You can't name one Adolf. It's illegal.
Only in Germany.
No, it's illegal in Germany. Yeah.
No, you can't do it here either.
No, yeah, you can. You can name
No,
them.
you can't.
Yes, you can. I'm not kidding. You can name a kid Adolf in America. You just can't name him that in Germany. They can never enter Germany unless they change their name.
You also can't say the word Hitler or you get thrown into a prison.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Hold on.
I have
I
a
know
Jewish
Germany screwed up with their cars, but like,
I have a Jewish friend, and then that Jewish friend has a German friend. And I was sitting with them at lunch one day, and the Jewish friend made the German friend mad, and the German friend goes, "I will throw you in a gas chamber." And then he says, "I have access." And then he got so mad because his grandparents were killed in a gas chamber.
oh my god.
It was hilarious. And then I said,
That sounds
"Hey,"
pretty funny.
and then I said, "Hey, if it makes you feel any better, my grandpa fought in World War II, even though he didn't."
If it makes you feel any better, my grandpa fought in the Korean War, really?
Okay, class, we're studying the Vietnam War today. We are studying today the American Revolutionary War.
We are studying today the Russian Revolution.
My dad fought in that war.
My brother survived the Russian.
He just brings in like an M16.
My
Dude,
br-
that was.
my brother survived the Russian Revolution.
Someone in the camp beside ours has a beside mine has a red rocket truck stop sign. They bought it.
I'm off to come see that, I'm afraid. Over encumbered, can't fast travel. What?
Oh my gosh, my social studies teacher, she's kind of sucky. She hates my guts, I don't know why. My grandma's the only reason she has.
Miss Passmore.
Her name is Fortenberry.
Miss Passmore, did you just say that one?
Yep, I did.
I'm gonna kill you.
I just said that.
Yep, I just said that.
But anyways, we were talking about.
And has a punji board, BOS protection, heavy machine gun turns, mega truck stop, a tent, a patio, a military box for a footlocker stash, a farm, so many water purifiers, and then the mega rocket stop.
Anyway, we were talking about the
Jack!
We were talking about the Holocaust Museum. We were talking about the Holocaust Museum in Washington. And my social studies teacher told us how one time she went and she got stuck in the elevator with a bunch of kids because they'll pick a random group and switch off all the lights and make it look like you're trapped in the gas chamber in the elevator once a year. And her group happened to be that group. Describing it to us like it was a traumatic experience, and she started crying. And I looked at my friend and I said, she was stuck in an elevator for 5 minutes. Couldn't have been that bad. And then the friend looked at me and he goes, you know, I'm Jewish, so I relate to that on more of a spiritual level than you. No, that didn't happen. I mean, the story did, and she did cry, and I did criticize her for it. And then one time I punctured a water bottle.
She did die.
No, she cried.
I don't want to.
One time,
She cried.
yeah.
Sorry. See, I'm about to die from thirst.
I punctured a water bottle, and it's. I punctured a water bottle on my teeth because I tried to pick it up one time in the most weird way possible, and then it started spilling everywhere, and I didn't realize I punctured it, and then she got mad because there was water all over the table, and she called me out in front of everybody, and I was about to say something that I should not have said regarding her physique.
One time Rich had a water bottle and he flung it up and it punctured the top of the gym roof and started leaking everywhere.
How did Rich do that?
Lord, I don't know.
My cousin put some milk on a rubber ball and he kicked it, and the milk is now on the roof. The milk is now on the roof of my grandpa's house, just stained.
One time I was okay, so this didn't happen to me, but this happened to this kid named Michael Sponable, who later on tried to slit his wrists in the weight room, so that was pretty fun to watch. Anywho,
Oh crap, that scared me.
he threw a metal water bottle on the fan, you know the fancy lunchroom Jack would have? He threw a metal, and it hit the top of it, and like metal chunks went flying down. I said to my friend Steven. And you know how Steven is, Jack. You've seen him before, right? Like, he was at my birthday party and stuff and crap like that. He was like, oh my lord, the damn murder strike! And a piece of can hit the resource officer in the head.
Oh, son.
A piece of, like, a chunk of metal hit Anthony in the head. And Anthony started laughing his head off.
Speaking of resource officers,
Oh, I just started shooting y'all.
speaking of resource officers, one day I brought Wolverine claws to school because I was Wolverine for Halloween. And I wore them in the gym, and apparently it looked like knives from across the gym. And so 2 or 3 police officers and the principal came over, and they yelled at me, and they said, "Hey, you with the weapon!" And that's the principal called me "you with the weapon," and it made me feel bad because we had lived beside him for 2 years. And I turned my head, and they were like, "What is this? Why do you have these knives?" And I was like, they're
These dull things that couldn't kill a fly if I wanted to kill one. Yeah.
they're
You want to know why I have these? It's Halloween.
they're cheap Disney claws, mister.
Get with the system, buddy.
I said they were cheap claws that I got off a Disney site. And he looked at me and he goes, "Are you Wolverine?" And I said, "Yeah." And then he goes, "Okay." And I put them back in my backpack, and then I was called Wolverine for like 3 weeks after that.
Wait, what did he actually call you?
He called me "you with the weapon," and then for the remainder of the time he called me Wolverine.
That sounds like a weird relationship. Like a really weird one.
He's a veteran, so he can do whatever. I'm kind of scared of him. Oh, hi.
Kate looks looks outside the window one day, sees him sitting there sharpening a knife. Oh dear.
One time our chicken went under his car, and we had to go get it. You know, an animal that goes bok bok. It got out of its pen, and it went under his car. So it was either him or Thomas, but somebody had to climb underneath the car and grab it.
Oh, you and Thomas have pet chickens.
I may have to get up early tomorrow and go do something. I don't know. So I'm gonna go to bed at 1:30.
Well, I hope you can get. Well, guys, I hope you can sleep in peace tonight. You know, Big Chungus is out there.
I'm gonna lock my windows tonight to make sure nothing bad happens.
He's already in your.
Who has windows?
I have windows.
Yeah, Kate, who has windows anymore? It's 2018. It's all about that shade life to see somebody opening the blinds of the shade.
I hate the floor of the Badham preschool, like the basement. It's scary, and I don't know how to get out. Never mind.
It's scary now. Imagine being an 8-year-old being chased by a rapist. That'd be terrible. What?
We can make cranberry cobbler. We just have to have one cranberry each.
Well, time to go to the cranberry zone to get one pie. It's probably gonna go stale in a few days when I die after we eat it.
Orin, you know how you brought up the kid that slit his wrists in the gym or weight room or whatever?
Yeah.
Well, I have a kid like that goes to school with me named Madeline, and she dated this transgender girl for a little bit.
That sounds like a disaster.
And I used to be friends with her, but now we call her Fish in the human scab, 'cause she has scabs all over her body. She's got some skin defect that makes her her skin look like it's covered in scabs, and it is. She feels like if you could touch the Green Goblin. But
Hey, Orin.
yeah, it's easy to make my mom gag when I talk about her because she's so scabby. It's disgusting.
Look at my guy. How do you even work this bad? This is what I've been wearing. Look at my leg. Look at my right leg.
You have a birth defect there, Jack.
Now, Orin, you don't know anything about Jack. He may have a birth defect.
Well, good point there, but then again, I could have a birth defect.
I'm going to admit my hands can be kind of weird at times because I hold my cut with a knife. And then one of them has 4 rings on it instead of only 3, and I haven't figured that one out yet.
Nice.
Story moments with Jack. Yeah. I have a giant scar on my arm. Don't know how I got there. Just one day look down, scar on my arm.
I have multiple scars on my knees.
How'd you get there?
I have multiple scars on my knees because one time I was being stupid and I started to slide on a gym floor trying to get a basketball and I burned myself and then I picked the scabs off.
One time we was at me and Molly were having a basketball game in the gym, and I had some of those cheap Walmart pants on, like the the gym pants, and he knocked me down. Of course he knocked me down, like why wouldn't he knock me down? And when I hit the ground, it tore a hole in him.
Oh, I need one more
One time I was in 4th grade, and the whole bottom of my jeans ripped.
One time I was in 3rd grade and I spilled like a half a tub of, you know how like you get those really big containers? I had one of those really big containers that are metal, and you can get a lot of like hot and cold liquids inside of it. Like it was probably bigger than a bowl. I spilled that on myself and I just had to walk around all day with spaghetti sauce on myself. Alright, I'm gonna tell you a story about a kid we pick on. Her name's Ivy Laws. But you don't know her name because I didn't tell you. She's a lesbian, a furry, and a human rights activist. So it's like every terrible thing you can think of, right? So one day, some kid walks up to her and says, I think since furries are wanting to be animals, we should legally hunt them. And she pulls out a knife, or like some sort of knife. She breaks, so she carries around, but you don't know this either. I only know because I've seen it. She carries around a broken pair of scissors. She broke a pair of scissors in half, and it sharpened it to where it's like a shiv. And she carries this around, right? And she pulls it on the kid, cuts his arm, and she doesn't get in a bit of trouble, but the kid gets in trouble for offending her.
Oh, I have two furries that I go to school with, and I said I want to shoot up a furry convention in front of them. And apparently somebody had already got that idea, and they gassed a furry convention, they said. And then they started lecturing me that if I said that, I would probably end up doing it. And they were treating me like a psychopath, and they go, you need to go get mental help. And I said, no, you guys need to go get mental help. Everybody wants to do this. And then I said, like, we should have the right to hunt furries because it's like a meme. You know, it kind of will show up everywhere on your Instagram. And they said if people have the right to hunt furries, furries have the right to hunt people. And that was the most scared I have ever been in my life.
Did you actually imagine like a civil war between like normal people and furries?
Kate just goes, well, come on, son. Come on.
Pulls out his shit. Come on, you want to test me? I've been ready for this for years. Navy SEAL train. Test me. Shows Kate like a tiny shit. Oh boy, I gotta walk to the White Springs. Probably gonna get killed by ghouls.
Oh no, it's the doctor and he's just shocked me. Yay.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you another story of Ivy Laws and how she actually got in trouble one time.
Hang on.
So,
One. You know those things that they wrap wires in?
yeah.
Like that hard stuff. Well, I took one of those and tore it in half after I took it off the wire and slid a nail through one side, and then slid the thing back over it.
They made a shit. Nice.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to it though. I lost it. Hopefully it's not a school somewhere.
It's in your locker. Oh, Neptune. So Ivy Laws. There's a lot of stories I could say. We could play a drinking game right now with apple juice considering we can't buy alcohol. Legally, at least. How did that kill me? That was like a 5-foot drop.
Who likes the law?
I fought the law and the law won. Anywho, so it was Halloween and her and a bunch of her friends started wearing these, like, fursuits, right? and like I don't know what it was, but it like I swear, like 5 kids at the start of the day were wearing them, and like 7 more kids joined in. There's like 14 furry dressed kids. Anywho, so they all get out on the playground, or the you know the break area we have at our school, or as I like to call it, the courtyard of the prison. Anywho, we all get out there, so we're all chilling. Me and my friend Steven, we're talking about like video games and Dark Souls, and this one friend of mine, she comes up and she says, "Hey, look over there, look at what those kids are doing." I'm like, "What are they doing?" And she says, "They're doing something strange." So I turn to look, and our thing's angled, it's like a football thing, and there's bleachers at one side, and you have to turn to see half the other field, and there's a bunch of kids dressed in fursuits, all hugging and pushing one another down and laying on top of each other and dry humping them. I'm like, what the hell? I can't repeat what I said, but I said some unholy things. So
We let a
when the
gang
teachers caught on.
we let a gang on break it one day, and everybody was T-posing.
We did that one time, but they called us out for racial offense. I don't know how that's racial offense, but we got called out for it. But like I was saying, they were doing all that, so me and my friend Steven walk up with rocks, and we kind of chuck them at them. And the teachers, so my sister, she's on the field, and I pick up a rock, and she looks me dead in the eyes, and you can't repeat this, but she shakes her head, yeah, and I throw it. She knew what was happening. I have another story though. So we had this next door neighbor, you know Miss
Mabel.
Pickleson, right, Jack? Mabel. Miss Pickleson? You probably don't. But you'll get to know her. She's the B-side 8th grade teacher. So me and my friends started walking outside and we said, "Join the wall." And we had a wall of people. She said, "No, break that up. That's racially insensitive." I'm like, "What?" She said, "Yeah, that's racist and sexist. You can't be doing that. That's going against people's modern rights." I'm like, "Since when have you even cared about that?"
I'll tell you this, one
Hey,
time
Jack.
me and my friend were being stupid, and his other friend came and joined us, and we were skipping rocks on a road, and a car pulled by, and this car happened to be the car of one of the teachers that went to school with me, and we hit her car with a rock on accident, and that did not go so well.
What happened in the end?
She stopped her car in the middle of the road, rolled down the window, and started screaming at us.
One time, me and Wiley at our aunt's house, who sadly passed away recently, she has a huge tree at the end of this gap, this big bluff area, right? And it's a walnut tree, so me and Wiley would naturally throw walnuts in the road and stuff. Well, I threw a walnut and it hit a car and it dented a car, but we knew the people who it was, so we fixed it in like a day for them. So it ended well, but still, I got my anus beat from my parents because I dented a car.
One time my aunt was at my house, so I got the bright idea that I was gonna go take a black Sharpie and write something on my mom's charcoal gray car. And my mom came around the side of the car and saw me scribbling on her bumper with a Sharpie. And it did not end too well.
One time, me and Wiley, you know how he has that big dumpster behind his house, Jack?
Yeah.
One time we were out there screwing around and I threw his cat in the dumpster by accident. I threw his cat off the balcony. He said, "Hey, Oren, what was that noise?" Because all you can hear is a loud meow. It lived, but I still threw.
I think someone's calling me.
Ship Warrior Perk 3. Oh no, I don't have that perk, do I? Yeah, it was. We don't tell Wiley about that. Agreed. Alright.
Did he ever figure it out?
Yeah, I told him. He got mad at me about pushing me off in the dumpster himself. But,
One time my cat scratched my sister and my dad threw it off the porch and you could hear it screaming outside and it was awful. He didn't hurt it, it was just screaming to be a jerk, but one time my dog screamed when it was snowing and I got the absolute, I crapped myself, honestly. It screamed like 3 times and it sounded like a human.
That sounds terrible.
And we later determined it wasn't a cougar, but still. It was
Seeing the dog smile, that's terrifying.
Somebody said that's what Jack the Ripper looks like.
Jack looks like a dog smiling.
One time, me and my sister downloaded Roblox and I got stuck in this story about Smile Dog on Roblox.
Ew, we don't talk about that. That scares me, that is. Hey,
Smile Dog is hideous.
Yeah, it is.
It reminds me of my Chihuahua.
Do you have any, like, weird stories to share? I'm gonna take that as a no.
I mean, one time Aaron told me he liked a girl. Told me not to tell anybody.
And you told me.
We are.
Ah.
No. I forgot about it.
I'm not a, like, okay, so one time when I was a baby, my dad got done fixing this guy's windshield. Somehow a jack hit it and it busted the windshield out. My dad wasn't mad at me or anything, and the guy wasn't mad at us, and we had to fix it again, but it went all right afterwards. It all turned out all right.
One time when I was a toddler, I tried to fix my hair by putting a bow in it. And I accidentally wedged the bow in my scalp.
Oh, son.
And I was like, ow, that stings, and I pulled it out. And then I sat it down and there was a ton of blood on it and I just went walking down the hallway with a ton of blood on my...
I'm bleeding.
Okay, I have a funny story to say. It's gonna lighten up the mood. One time, let me think of it. Okay. So one time, me and Wally were playing outside. I think Jack's already heard this story. But I had this toy axe we got for Halloween. It was a hatchet.
Yeah.
It was hard plastic. Wally acts so hurt about this, and I don't know why. It wasn't that bad either. So I took it, and we were playing like Call of Duty or some trash like that outside. And I took it, and I threw it at him. Just to be kind of a jerk, right? I was like, here, I'm gonna get a cross smack. And it hit him in the face and it busted his lip. And he acts like a huge fight. And I was like, that hurt me, Warren. That betrayed my friendship and trust to you. I said, well, you still trust me enough to go into a bathroom with me, so I mean... Well, that brings up another funny story, that does. So we just got back from Disneyland, me and Wally, you know the Chevrolet, you know the gas station next to Dunkin' Donuts where you get the good chicken and stuff?